2018 Volkswagen Tiguan Review. The good points of Volkswagen Tiguan: excellent interior space, easy to operate a vehicle and maneuver, sensible, practical touches, quality interior, lots of engine options. The bad points of Volkswagen Tiguan: expensive in contrast to rivals, not an accurate all-terrain car, plain exterior styling, strong rivals better value, mature, classy looks, a high-quality, roomy interior and efficient engines. Some of the key elements that will make the second-generation Volkswagen Tiguan SUV not simply one in the most popular cars inside VW lineup, but also just about the most popular SUVs for sale. Full stop. Capitalizing on its predecessor's positive image and strong sales record, more customers bought Tiguans in 2015, its last year on discount sales compared to any previous year. The Tiguan is really a major player inside the very popular, and growing, mid-sized SUV market. There's an ever-expanding variety of talent the Tiguan's on. Not only must it tackle mainstream rivals like the Ford Kuga, Hyundai Tucson, Kia Sportage, Renault Kadjar and also the omnipresent Nissan Qashqai, its near-premium positioning allows it to square as much as the BMW X1 and smaller Mercedes-Benz GLA. Tough-looking SUV specializes in comfort. It's not surprising to learn the Volkswagen Tiguan's underpinned by its parent company's modular architecture, a version which is also utilized by the similar Sitka and Skoda Kodiaq, but in addition the larger Kodiaq 7-seater. If you need a Tiguan with space for 7, there's the Tiguan Allspace, which can be virtually a Kodiaq, playing with a VW body. Consequently it feels sure-footed and agile, although not especially sporty. In many respects it feels reassuringly as being a Volkswagen Golf to operate a vehicle, albeit through an elevated driving position. The Tiguan's blessed, which has a pleasingly rugged SUV appearance, with taut, perpendicular styling. It's peppered with interesting details, such as the light-catching indentations around the grille bars along with the pronounced chamfering across the body, which wraps around that can help frame the tail lights. Not only could be the cabin spacious due to the Tiguan's increased overall length and wheelbase weight against its predecessor, up 60 mm and 77 mm, respectively, there's an accompanying uplift in quality, too. Some on the plastics lower down the dashboard do not have the same soft-touch nature of those for the upper plane, nonetheless it all feels well assembled, plus the switchgear operates using a satisfyingly well-damped action. Wide array of familiar petrol and diesel engines. There's an extensive selection of engines available from the Tiguan, most which often you'll get in Neus and other VW Group products. On the petrol front, engines range in dimensions from 1.4 to 2.0 liters in space, offering between 125 and 180 horsepower. Front and all-wheel drive versions can be found on some engines, as will be the choice between manual and DSG automatic gearboxes. Those who prefer diesel power are served by 2.0-liter TDI units, ranging between 110 and 240 horsepower, again with front and all-wheel drive on certain models in manual or DSG gearboxes. Not all engine and gearbox combinations are easily obtainable in all trim levels, though. The latest Tiguan's noticeably more agile but doesn't feel sporty to push. Comfort's its primary goal, especially when fitted with adaptive suspension. Its steering errs towards lightness, and also the relaxed nature with the DSG transmissions suits the VW better, too. Off-road it's pleasingly capable. There's 200 mm of ground clearance on 4Motion Tiguan's minus 10 mm in excessive front-wheel drive models, along with the short back and front overhangs allow it deal with severe inclines with no trouble. wealth of technology available. As you'd expect using a contemporary crossover, the modern Volkswagen Tiguan's bristling with standard and optional technology. There's a raft of electronic safety equipment including adaptive cruise control, emergency city braking and LED lights front and back. You also can upscale the normal say navigation, cylinder line trims equipment rosters having a plethora of options including a panoramic glass roof, an adaptive digital instrument display plus a high-quality Dyne audio head unit. Volkswagen's also further honed its active control system enabling you to tailor your on-road driving for comfort or firmness sport according to your personal tastes, in addition to snow and off-road modes when conditions are more difficult. The verdict. With this kind of huge volume of competition coming from all angles, the VW Tiguan asserts itself having a mature driving experience, a high-quality, practical interior and several badge appeal. It's not probably the most exciting car to see, sit in or drive. Nevertheless, it's a real well-rounded family SUV. It has to be in your shopping list if this doesn't get out of your budget. It's higher priced than many similar-sized rivals, nonetheless it should be a trouble-free car to have that deals with family life perfectly indeed. Watch regarding how we rate this phenomenal SUV both on-road and using full Volkswagen Tiguan review. Wide choice of petrol and diesel engines offered. Choice of manual and DSG gearboxes. Front and 4-motion all-wheel drive available. Those of your indecisive nature normally takes a while to choose an engine because of their Tiguan, as there's this type of wide choice offered. The petrol and diesel engines on offer are all for sale in other VW models, so they're all turbocharged and proven in lots of other body styles. 3 Tsi Petrol Engines. The petrol lineup kicks off which has a 1.4-liter TSI producing 125 horsepower and 200 Nm of torque. It's only accessible with front-wheel drive plus a 6-speed manual, in support of comes in models lower down Kids S, Say and Say Nav. VW claims it'll reach 62 miles per hour from your standstill in 10.5 seconds, be going on to reach a 118 miles per hour top speed. It could be the cheapest way into a Tiguan, but there's a great deal of car to haul around that has a relatively little power and torque, so that it could be worth looking further up the product range if you regularly carry passengers and luggage. Next up could be the 1.4-liter TSI with 150 horsepower and 250 Nm of torque. In front-wheel drive, manual form it'll move from 62 miles per hour in 9.2 seconds and on 125 miles per hour it's made available with 4-motion all-wheel drive as well as a DSG gearbox in every combination, by having identical 62 miles per hour times. This engine, much like the 125 horsepower version, features VW's active cylinder shutdown system that, because the name suggests, shuts off 2 cylinders once the engine isn't being worked, challenging to boost efficiency. Available on higher spec versions on the Tiguan is really a 2.0-liter TSI petrol with 180 horsepower. Exclusively coming with 4-motion along with a DSG gearbox, it's efficient at completing the 62 miles per hour sprint in 7.7 seconds and can reach 129 miles per hour at the summit end. It packs a diesel-like 320 Nm of torque, rendering it great for overtaking maneuvers. 4 Tdi Diesel Engines. You're lucky if you need a diesel Tiguan. You will discover 4 engines from which to choose. Kicking things off is often a 115 horsepower 2.0-liter TDI unit with front-wheel drive plus a manual gearbox. It's only obtainable in entry-level S models, and supplies up a nutritious 320 Nm of torque. The 062 miles per hour time is 10.9 seconds, making it by far the most leisurely in the Tiguan range. Next up is often a 150 horsepower 2.0 TDI with 340 Nm of torque, available having a choice of front or all-wheel drive, manual and DSG gearboxes. All versions are effective at completing the 062 miles per hour sprint in 9.3 seconds, while manual versions will top 127 miles per hour. The DSG-equipped models will reach 125 miles per hour. It's certainly punchy around the move, having a surge of torque enabling fuss-free overtaking maneuvers within the motorway. Around town, the short first gear can catch you, but it really is a really good fit from the Tiguan, and changing gear isn't a chore while using slick 6-speed manual gearbox. The only complaint could be the amount of noise manufactured by the diesel unit, perhaps the most common issue with VW's diesel engines. Stepping things up a notch would be the 190 horsepower 2.0 TDI, coming exclusively with 4Motion and also a 7-speed DSG gearbox. There's an incredibly healthy 400 Nm of torque on tap, while 062 miles per hour is addressed in a surprisingly rapid 7.9 seconds. It'll reach 131 miles per hour at top speed. Finally, at the top with the range, is twin-turbo 2.0 TDI badged by TDI with 240 horsepower along with a whopping 500 Nm of torque. Like the 190 horsepower diesel, this engine comes only with 4Motion and also a DSG gearbox, and blitzes the 062 miles per hour sprint in 6.5 seconds and should be onto your hot hatch rivaling 143 miles per hour top speed. Impressively agile but doesn't deliver a sporty drive. Adaptive suspension option maximizes comfort. 4Motion models are usefully capable on rough terrain. People won't buy SUVs including the Volkswagen Tiguan specifically because of their handling characteristics. However, it's reassuring that for those migrating from the more conventional hatchback, that, higher driving position aside, it feels entirely normal. After all, this variety of more modestly sized SUVs usually share their underpinnings using their hatchback cousins as an alternative to all-new, heavy-duty off-roading platforms. So it is here, as being the Tiguan is situated upon similar modular architecture towards the Golf. As an effect, the Tiguan's impressively agile both on-road and off-it, giving an answer to steering inputs accurately and changing direction without fuss. But such as the majority of Golfs, the Tiguan doesn't feel remotely sporty. Its close cousin, the Sitka, is set as much as satisfy keener drivers better. Instead, the watchword here is comfort, and it's a trait which is immediately apparent. Specify larger wheels around the standard suspension and you'll be aware of sharper ruts within the road, meaning it's far better stick to smaller rims or select the excellent dynamic chassis control with adaptive suspension. In its standard setting the steering feels within the light side, but this is made heavier over the driver profile system. It doesn't make steering any more communicative, event off it offers a decent higher level feedback it merely varies the resistance experienced when you turn the wheel. All models feature VW's XDS electronic differential lock, which directs more power to your outside front wheel when cornering to improve traction. Tiguans furnished with 4Motion include 200 mm of ground clearance, up through the front-wheel drive models 190 mm. Through switching the active control dial to off-road mode it might be surprisingly good at dealing effectively with rougher terrain. The intelligent four-wheel drive system metering your power on the wheels with probably the most traction. High-quality cabin ambience a VW trait. Switch gear and touchscreen intuitive make use of. Finding the perfect driving position proves easy. Over yesteryear 2 decades, VW's honed its good reputation for producing high-quality cabins, and also the one installed from the Volkswagen Tiguan's no exception. Not only it is possible to satisfying a higher level squidginess in the upper dashboard plastics, but these times the Tiguan's treated into a unique interior, as opposed to one shared with all the Volkswagen Golf SV. It's a basic cabin with the upmarket tactility and precise, well-damped actions to the switchgear, the entire thing feeling like it's designed to stand the exam of time. Infotainment touchscreens are normally found in most new cars these days, along with the Tiguan's the same, with the 8-inch example sighted inside angled central area with the dash. The graphics are classy, sharp and unambiguous, and also the screen itself responds well on the touch. Few repeated prods are expected here. Our only niggle is it's a glass-fronted unit that's at risk of showing up grubby fingerprints without difficulty. Combine this with bright sunlight, this means you will be hard to see what's actually within the screen. Choose Unsell Plus. The Tiguan comes which has a virtual instrument display, VW calls it Active Info Display, which can be customizable, enabling you to make the dials smaller along with the Satan of display between barefoot and shoes larger among other combinations. It's slickly designed, but debatable whether or not it's worth paying reasonably limited for on models lower down the lineup. As along with other crossovers you're set high from the Tiguan, having a commanding view with the road ahead. Finding a comfortable driving position's no worries, especially using the Ergo Comfort seat on high-end models offering 14 planes of adjustment. Spacious passenger compartment back and front. Little exterior noise enters the cabin. Adaptive suspension option improves ride quality. Despite using a similar quantity of road space being a Golf estate, the most up-to-date Volkswagen Tiguan feels being a much more commodious car, reinforcing its comfort bias. 4 adults will easily get comfortable within the Tiguan, with plenty space inside the back for any 6-feet passenger to take a seat behind a driver on the same stature but not have their knees resistant to the back from the front seat. Fitting 3 kids around the back seat shouldn't prove difficult, although ISOFIX mounting points are just fitted on the outer 2 positions. Up front the seats are happy and supportive, particularly the Ergo Comfort driver's seat with additional planes of adjustment including a tilt function and electrically controlled lumbar support. Volkswagen's worked not easy to make sure the Tiguan's cabin remains quiet with little engine, road and wind noise permeating into the cabin. Larger alloy wheels do add amount of sharpness towards the otherwise fine ride quality, but we'd recommend spending the other on dynamic chassis control featuring its excellent adaptive suspension damping. It's not the most affordable option, but one worth ticking in the event you want an impressively cost-setting family car. Generous equipment levels across the stove. Say grade appears to be make probably the most sense. Reline supplies a sportier look. The second-generation Tiguan is accessible in 5 familiar VW trim quantities of say navigation, cylinder line. Standard Volkswagen Tiguan equipment. Whichever Tiguan going for, in case you follow the trend of 75% of buyers and plump to get a 4Motion-equipped one, it arrives with active control, a dial for switching between on-road, off-road, individual and snow modes. Entry point for your Tiguan ranges as specification. 17-inch Montana alloy wheels. Leather-wrapped tire. Adjustable front center armrest. Fore and aft sliding rear bench. 8.0-inch touchscreen infotainment system with DAB radio and Bluetooth phone connectivity. Air conditioning. All-round electric windows. Automatic lights and wipers. Autonomous emergency braking. Lane assist, gently steers you back to the center of the lane in the event the car detects you wandering without indicating. Next up is A, which Volkswagen expects to get the bestseller from the lineup. It adds 18-inch Patagonia alloys, chrome exterior detailing, silver finished roof rails, privacy glass, multifunction tire, additional chambers, adaptive cruise control, parking sensors, 3-zone climate control, App Connect, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, high beam assist. As its name suggests, Say navigation adds VW's Discover Satan system to proceedings. Progress for the even more luxurious cell grade, and there's yet another ramp-up of trinkets and technology. 19-inch Victoria alloys, full LED headlights and rear lights, Ergo Comfort driver's seat with 14 planes of adjustment with heated front seats, ambient lighting, panoramic sunroof, adaptive cruise control, 12.3-inch active info display, digital dials to restore traditional instrument binnacle. Topping the Tiguan range will be the aggressive-looking Reline, deeper front bumper air intake, increased body-colored exterior moldings, 15 mm lower sports suspension, 20-inch Suzuka alloy wheels, sport seats, Reline-specific controls, black roof lining, Volkswagen Tiguan optional extras. There's several potential options for the most recent Tiguan, after dark usual scope of alloy wheel upgrades and further solid, metallic, pearlescent and premium signature paint finishes. An outdoor pack beefs within the Tiguan's appearance, which has a unique front bumper to improve approach and departure angles to 24 degrees. Sports suspension could be specified, but we'd are more inclined to waste extra on dynamic chassis control DCC featuring its adaptive suspension settings. Interior comfort may be increased, which has a full leather option, whilst the outer rear seats also can be heated at expense. There are an array of infotainment upgrades, but we particularly rate outstanding sound reproduction in the Dyne Audio Excite system. Keyless entry plus an electric tailgate make life using the Tiguan a lot more convenient, even though the automatic self-parking function is one from the easiest to use for the market. 5-star Euro NCAP crash test expected. Pop-up bonnet for pedestrian protection. Raft more safety gear available. Safety is usually a key consideration with the purchase of an SUV to be a family car, and also the Volkswagen Tiguan's packed using a wealth of standard features, together with several optional ones, to keep the security of that occupants. It's not under the auspices of Euro NCAP, but we expect it to obtain the full 5-star score if it is. All Tiguans come with 7 airbags, including one to the driver's knee, together with a raft of electronic safety aids, for example autonomous emergency braking, lowering the likelihood of you requiring you to experience any of them being deployed. Pedestrians are available a further higher level protection on account of active bonnet mounts, which lift the entire body panel up and away from your engine within the event of a frontal collision. Depending around the specification chosen, additional safety kit will either be standard or optional at extra expense, including an extremely effective adaptive cruise control system, a head-up display pod which is really a paragon of clarity, automatic main beam for that LED headlamps besides other alerts for changing lanes without indicating or reversing out into oncoming traffic. Large and flexible load space trumps key rivals. Enormous selection of cubbies to conceal valuables in. Will paler interior trim stand test of time? A large part from the SUV's appeal is its practicality, along with the second-generation Volkswagen Tiguans no exception. The reason is, depending around the specification you decide on, you'll find a mixture of storage pockets and cubbies, from dash-top-lidded ones to drawers beneath the front seats. It's besides where you can carry things, but wait, how they're stowed. Many Tiguans have a very front passenger seat which folds completely to enable longer items to become swallowed with no trouble. It's an extremely useful feature and complements the 40 hours 20 minutes 40 seconds split folding rear seat arrangement. That's not the spine seat's only trick. In a very 60 hours 40 minutes split, the seat base slides forwards and back, enhancing the Tiguan's boot volume from 520 liters to 615 liters from the process. Those figures outrank the BMW X1 505 liters, Kia Sportage 503 liters, Nissan Qashqai 430 liters and Renault Kadjar 472 liters. Fold the seats over, making a near-flat load area, plus the VW still leaves those key rivals. Its 1,655-liter capacity trumps the X1 1,550 liters, Sportage 1,492 liters, Qashqai 1,585 liters and Kadjar 1,478 liters. In fact, there's precious little we can easily fault the Tiguan on, practicality-wise, save for a way fresh some in the lighter hued fabric interior trims might remain once they've spent 34 months running the gauntlet of family life.